I said you've been playing FF14 like all day.
I played for like an hour.
12 hours.
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't watching. I was sleeping.
No, I was playing Strive instead.
Oh, yeah. I saw you hit, whatever it's called. Heaven?
Genius level. Anyway.
Yeah, do it again.
Welcome to the Dancer's Paradise podcast. We today are talking about Pacific Rim from 2013. I have the ever so handsome Kyler with me.
Oh, what's up?
And the boss ass Soon.
Yeah.
And we also watched boss ass right there. I love it. Hey. So we watched Pacific Rim. We also watched the new Godzilla versus King Kong movie, and we might get into that a little bit. But Pacific Rim is a 2013. We kind of did like a giant thing that's fighting each other.
We had a theme,
movie
dude.
day.
We had
a theme today.
I know.
Giant things fight.
Yeah, I remember seeing trailers for it, and I don't know why I never went to go and see it because I never seen this movie before now.
Which one? Pacific Rim or
Pacific Rim? Yeah.
I know. I didn't see it in theaters either.
I actually don't even. I kind of forgot that came out so long ago, 2013. Yeah. It looks really good for being like what 9 years old or 8 years old now.
Must have a good budget.
Guillermo del Toro movie, and almost all the stuff he does, whether it's good or bad, looks fantastic.
Oh yeah,
you know, the Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth, and there was one about a castle that was a ghost story that was kind of boring and then ended kind of weird.
I don't know that one. Yeah. I've never seen Pan's Labyrinth either.
Pan's Labyrinth's really good. But yeah, everything he does has a very noticeable visual quality to it. Which is why I think everybody was so hyped. Wasn't he on board for a Silent Hill remake?
Maybe. That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
Y'all want to know more about that?
Perfect for that.
I think we want just more Silent Hill in general. But yeah, so this movie made me mad. I know
what you mean in some moments.
So angry at the writing of this movie. It wasn't even funny.
Well, what's weird about it is the movie has so many holes in it. Right? Like, it's really, I know people hate the idea of just turn your brain off and watch the movie for enjoyment movies. And that is this, like, you can't really think about anything it will pull you right out of the movie. The second you start thinking about logistics or pricing or, you know, how this person got there. Speaking of people, this had some, like, big actors in there. You had Charlie Day and Idris Elba.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Day was great in it. I love Charlie Day. Ron Perlman. This has an actual cast. The main guy, what's his name? Charlie Hunnigan or something?
I don't actually know the actor's name.
I've never seen him in anything else.
Neither have I.
Except this movie. But it is kind of, it always tripped me out that they had all these big names who do, like, you know, Idris Elba does all kinds of serious stuff. I never would have taken him to sign on to such a dumb movie.
Was it the Commander guy?
Stacker Pentecost, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't actually know his name.
Like, actually acted in the movie.
I just recognize him.
Charlie Hunnam, he feels like someone I should know from somewhere. Like, I feel like I've seen him before, but I really haven't. You know?
There's a couple of those guys. The one from, like, one of the guys from one of the Terminator movies. The guy from Battleship, like, and John Carpenter of Mars. They're like these amorphous just like unnameable blah actors who they put in these things, and it's just a handsome white guy, he'll be able to carry it, and then we never hear about him again.
Yeah,
and they're never particularly good. There's just so many of them. Maybe they're a dime a dozen in Hollywood.
You know, it's funny because, like, the acting, like, I was perfectly fine with the acting in this movie. It was great. It's just, I was getting so angry because the idea of this movie makes no sense.
So let's get into that a little bit. So the movie starts off with a big old crawl. Not a crawl, it's a montage showing that the world has been at war with kaijus, giant monsters coming up out of the sea for a couple years. And they tried to fight them off with conventional weapons, and it didn't work, and it ended up destroying cities. So they decided it was time to build giant robots to fight the monsters.
The ultimate solution.
And like immediately as soon as they said that, I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. Because it's just like, it doesn't make any sense because these things aren't special in any way. They're just giant robots that punch the monsters. And I remember like whoever we were watching with, someone said like, oh, maybe it's just more effective that way if you just punch it with a giant fist instead of using a weapon. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then one of the robots decided to have chest missiles, and it instantly killed the other kaiju.
That's a bitch. Half of the teams piloting the robots suck at fighting the monsters anyways, so it wouldn't matter.
Oh, I don't need let's talk about the piloting for these real quick.
They get taken out so quickly, no matter what, dude.
So we have these giant robots called Jaegers, and they are piloted by actually two pilots, not just a single one. The reasoning they say is because a single pilot is not able to handle the mental strain that comes into piloting one of these. So you need at least two of them. Yeah. So you need at least two, so they can share the strain of it and not hurt each other. And they have to go through this process called drifting that kind of creates like a mental link between the two pilots, so they can synchronize with each other and they can actually physically pilot the machine together without fucking each other over. Which that makes absolutely no sense, because where's the mental strain piloting these machines? Because all the controls are all analog. Like, to walk, you have to use these giant pedals that are attached to your feet, and you have like these controls on your hands physically to actually move the arms. And I don't understand where the actual mental strain from piloting even comes from.
I don't know why
there was one point where the dude like picked up a boat out of the ocean. And it actually showed him physically picking up some like object that was holographic. Like, I don't think it was he had to pick up a physical object within
the actual pilot seat.
Yeah, there was like I'm assuming there's just like a bowl full of objects. He just reached into
like a fake fruit bowl in the cockpit. Like,
yeah,
it's something to pick up. We need to.
This is about the size of that banana. Let's pick this up, and it like
banana
translates to the outside. And then they're like, you need two people to pilot it from the mental strain, except when you don't. Because Idris Elba can just do it by himself for whatever reason.
Well, and the other thing too is, remember, like when he got in the very beginning of the movie, we see the main character and his brother fighting our first kaiju, basically our first kaiju fight. And at one point, the kaiju stabs the Jaeger in the arm, and we see one of the pilots like yell in pain. Like, why would you give the robots the ability to feel pain?
Yeah, give them the ability to feel things
and link it to your pilots? Like, what are you doing? Are you insane?
A lot of it was stupid. And to think, like, if you have the technology to like I don't know, transplant or meld minds with not only people but with kaiju, like with biological beings, you think you'd have the technology to just hook up a PlayStation controller to the fucking Jaeger and just use that. Like, that seems like totally possible and easier to do.
It's kind of a weird concept.
So ridiculous.
The amount of times we've seen things where it's like, just put a cockpit in a giant robot and it works fine. But they're like, no.
And the thing is, usually with these types of movies or shows or anything like that, there's a reason why we have to use a giant robot. There's some kind of reason. And Godzilla versus King Kong, which we watched as well, they had a reason for having a giant robot too. That made sense in that context. This movie doesn't, though. Like, there's no reason to have these giant robots.
This movie is just for the sake of like big robot fight monster. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I tried to justify it by saying like, hey, maybe because they said that they had to meet the giant. Okay, they have to meet the giant monsters out in the ocean to preserve the cities with their giant robots. Okay, fine. Then they're just standing in the ocean. So there's a lot of times where they're like coming up out of the ocean, and it's like you had to be laying on the sea floor, scooting yourself along because you are way taller than the ocean's depth.
That fucking scene where they show up behind the boat and it's like you were laying on your robot's stomach. You're like doggy paddling along. There's no way.
And then I'm like, maybe it's cost effective to have the robots. And we looked up the pricing, and no, you could build like 100 battleships for the price of one Jaeger. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's merchandising to pay for all the things to make
Merchandising.
toys.
I mean, they
You
did.
have to pay for it somehow, and the amount of money it would cost to keep this Jaeger program going is unfathomable. It is ridiculous. It would require all the countries in tandem to pool their resources.
Funny enough, they actually do say in the movie, it's like it spawns so many toys and merchandise. So I mean, that was a thing.
Well, the funny thing is, like, some of the toys were the kaiju themselves.
I
not
know.
even the Jaegers, so they weren't even necessary.
Look
But
at this
anyway,
giant death monster. Buy toys
like,
of it.
Yeah, it's like having a toy Hitler. Like, you just,
Oh,
why do you have this?
fuck.
But no, that's not even the worst of it, though. Like, in the very beginning of the movie, we see our main character piloting a Jaeger with his brother, and this is kind of our introduction to our first kaiju fight and how dangerous these things are. These two before were supposedly, I guess, pretty decorated pilots. They were supposed to be pretty good at what they did.
Like 5-7 kills, something like that.
Yeah, and they were fighting what's referenced as a Category 3 kaiju, who they called Knifehead. And
Was it Category 3?
It was Category 3, yep.
Okay, I thought it was Category 4.
Yeah, which was the highest level category that at that time in the story that was around. Unfortunately, they lost. The main character's brother was killed, and the main character did survive and had to pilot the Jaeger alone and take it to shore somehow.
I just remembered where he went after he lost his fight.
Yeah, so he basically retires after that. We fast forward 5 years later, and basically
he's building a wall.
He's building the big wall.
Hold on. So, 5 years later, the world leaders of planet Earth are like, yeah, these things are really expensive, and we're getting our asses handed to us a lot. So we're gonna defunct the Jaeger program, and we're gonna make just a big wall, just a giant fucking wall. And their plan is to just make a wall around every single continent and just like section off the ocean. And not even like put weapons on the wall. It's just a wall.
It's a big metal wall, and I love it because like it proves useless within like 20 minutes of them introducing it. It's like, yeah, no, this monster in Australia just walk right through it.
Just
like,
the
what are we
idea,
building
like
for?
I am sorry, but there is not enough metal on the planet to do this.
That's what I was saying. After seeing the monsters, there's no human constructs that could stand up against that.
Paper mache.
They're just too big.
There's no way that with technology how they have it, how could no one run any simulation to see if this wall would hold up? I mean, I think even the Jaegers could break those walls alone.
Probably.
They were like cardboard when we finally see one of the kaiju just break through it.
Yeah, it literally walks through it. It doesn't even like hit it. It just is like, hi.
Yeah,
like
he just like walks through it and kind of stumbles a bit.
What is this shit?
He didn't even notice.
Dude, I love the worker at the wall when they're watching. Like, what are we even building this thing for?
Yeah, honestly. And like then we see meetings between world leaders and like our basically military leader what was his name? Stacker?
Pentecost. Stacker Pentecost.
Yeah.
Idris Elba. And
they're telling him, yeah, the Jaeger program is not effective. Our wall is the only hope. And like, no, stop.
Your wall sucks.
And it's just it's so funny, the idea that they didn't have the funding to make more robots, but they have the amount of funding necessary to just make entire walls around every single continent on Earth, besides Antarctica, because fuck Antarctica. But
it's too cold. Well, the kaiju would go there anyways.
Like, it's so dumb. It's just so dumb. It's so hard to watch, and it sucks because the fights are so good.
Here's the thing, like, fun factor watching the movie, it's great. If you pay attention to the story though, you'd be like, what is this? Like, what the fuck?
That's what I was saying. Like, we had a great time watching it. I get a group of friends if you haven't seen this and see this movie. It's just like it's almost Neil Breen levels of entertaining but dumb.
Just don't go for the story.
Yeah, I mean, because once you start digging, you just pull that thread and the whole sweater falls apart.
Just enjoy the visuals in front of you. That's pretty much it.
Pretty much, and yeah, honestly, it looks really good.
They pull his name's Riley, the main character.
Riley, yeah, no, Riley.
Riley.
Well, we're Australian guy, Riley.
They pull him out of retirement, and they like probably bring him around. They start showing him all the other Like the Jaegers look dope. They got the one with 3 arms and the beefy Cherno Alpha.
I love
Yeah,
Cherno
they all got
Alpha.
different designs. They're really good and different pilots and different like ways of fighting. It's really cool. Um, the problem the problem is like so many times it's just the logic behind things that are happening just makes no fucking sense and it hurts. It makes it so much harder to watch. Um, I'm trying to like I don't want to get too far ahead to explain that, but let's
It's
keep
gonna get there. So
yeah.
they pull Rally out and they're like, we need you to pilot this, and we need to find you a partner. There's a whole bunch of boring shit where they're finding a partner. I'm just gonna I like zoned out for a lot of that nonsense.
Yeah, the whole staff fighting to find a partner, yet
Yeah.
they don't do any stat. They punch things.
Well,
I
that
mean, he
yeah.
hooks up with Rally's adopted daughter. Not hooks up, but becomes a partner with, and
General dudes. What would she even be to him? Would she be his adopted daughter?
yeah, he saved her while her city was being destroyed, and he ended
Yeah.
up coming out of his Jaeger and saving her, and then adopted her, and you know, I will say the one thing I did like about this movie I've always liked is it doesn't turn into a bullshit love story just because they get along well.
That's true.
Like they just become partners and they're cool with that. And that I'm so I don't need like that would have brought this movie down so much.
Actually, yeah.
Meet, yeah, I just there's even a final scene where, you know, they're about to kiss and like it just doesn't happen. And I'm like, good. I don't it's just keep it out. I don't need it.
No, that's a good point. I actually do appreciate
Huh.
that because it's such a trap that a lot of these types of movies, yeah.
Oh yeah,
A lot
don't they
of these
like
types
just
of
touch
movies
foreheads or
fall
whatever?
into.
Yeah, they just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during this time, we also meet the 2 scientists. One is played by Charlie Day. The other one's played by that weird guy from what was he in? He's a weird guy.
Is that about the one that's like got a cane and is always like, wah?
Yeah, they're very eccentric, both of them in their own way.
I can't
And they
even remember
don't
what their
get
character
along.
names are.
I don't know.
Gottlieb
It's
and
Charlie
something
Day and
else.
the other guy, and they're trying to figure out like one's using math and the other one's using theoretical science to predict what's going to happen with the kaijus. And Charlie Day wants to mind meld with one, and they're like, "Nah, don't do that." And then you know that comes up later, and then he does it anyway.
He's like, well, screw you, I'm doing it anyway.
Fuck it.
Because it turns out that the kaiju are originating from underwater. There's a portal to the kaiju. Oh my god! I'm like just saying it. It starts to get so
Right?
convoluted.
Dude, the second
The
they're
kaijus-
like, it's aliens. It's like, what?
They're connected by a singular mind, and they come from a portal underwater that is only accessible by kaiju DNA. And in that portal is just regular ass aliens who are sending kaiju
Yeah.
here for who knows what reason. They never get into it. And so their plan, you know, later on is to go destroy the portal. But in between that, we get a lot of the fun monster fights.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing.
It's Independence Day. It's kind of like Independence Day, pretty much.
Like the whole
It
thing.
is.
It comes down to, dude, guys, it was aliens. It's like, okay.
Like-
I mean, what else do you say? Like, all right.
It's so unnecessary. It feels so unnecessary, but I guess they had to like end the threat somehow, and this is what they came up with. And apparently there's a Pacific Rim too, isn't there?
Well, yeah, which means it obviously came back.
It's
in some
It's not
capacity.
any. It's not any. It's not
It's not any
worth
good.
seeing. It's not even fun.
That's
But
what I keep hearing.
Either way,
It put me to sleep. It's like Transformers. It's a lot like Transformers.
Oh, is it 2 rapper robots?
It's too no. It's there's like a child prodigy, and they're super involved in the story, and it's very like everything about it is super cliche and been done before, and the fights aren't very interesting. I think if I remember, it's more Jaeger versus Jaeger stuff.
that makes sense.
Rock'em
And
sock'em
honestly,
robots.
like one of the things I that sucked, I will say, about this movie is that we don't really get to see the other Jaegers perform as well as just the
Everything
main
gets
one.
dumpstered
Dude,
yeah,
immediately.
honestly,
it
yeah,
bums me
'cause-
out. I want to see them do more cool shit. Like, I love Cherno Alpha, and they get destroyed immediately.
Yeah, because so after this, we get to see some of the other Jaegers fight, and we get our next like big kaiju fight, and we have Crimson Typhoon and Cherno Alpha. So I believe it's a Chinese and a Russian
Yeah.
Jaegers.
Yeah. respectively.
And they're pretty unique. Basically, the Russian one is just this big burly mech. You can't even see its head; it's so well armored.
It's like Potemkin.
It's basically a nuclear reactor on legs and arms.
Yeah, it is hefty. It looks terrifying. And Crimson Typhoon is one that's piloted instead of the usual 2 pilots. It's piloted by 3. And it has 3 arms, and it's got like these saw blade things happening.
That would kind of crack me up because they're like, we got a whole extra pilot. What are we going to do with it? Just put a weird arm. Don't even put it in the center or anywhere useful. It's just going to be kind of sticking out on the side.
He's just on the
and
shoulder.
It's going to do the same shit.
He's like, he's just sitting there. He's sitting there on the shoulder. He's like, this sucks.
Well, it's like they were 2v1ing this one kaiju, and they got their asses handed to them.
Well, that's because their only abilities are like give it minor scratches, punch it, or throw it in the water. They do nothing else.
I like how they hype up like the Chinese one too. It's like the triplets they practice. What was the formation that they kept dropping?
Dragon head style,
and then it doesn't come into play at all. It's like, oh, that style didn't do anything.
I think all that was like, we have saw blades now. Like, that was all it was.
Which was a cool weapon, but it didn't get really much use.
Even like just looking at how big it's not a cool weapon because it's just like little chakrams, and it's like, yeah, against a person that might be effective, but this thing's like an armored, 100-story tall monster that you're just going to give it minor flesh wounds while it decimates and tears your arms off.
I mean, all they really did was like poke with them. They're like, eh.
Yeah, they just cut it a couple times and didn't kill it at all.
I will say, like, this movie is pretty brutal with how some of the pilots die, because it's pretty fucked. Like, for Cherno Alpha, one of the kaiju's like pierces the like where the pilots are, and drags it under the water and basically just holds its head down.
Yeah, they drowns the pilots. And then
right before they drown, he just crushes them and blows them up. It's fucking nuts.
The kaijus are pretty. I like the kaijus.
The kaijus are good.
Like, what I really like about this movie is a lot of times, even in the newer, not the Godzilla we just watched, but the last one, King of All Monsters, you had the monster fights, but they're always shrouded in shadows and there's rain and fog just to make it look better. And this didn't. Once they got out of the water and the storm stopped, like, they're in the city fighting and everything's lit up and it looks dope and they got the music playing. Like, they went hard.
Oh, yeah.
They said, we're just going to make this beautiful. And they did. They did a great job on the fights. They still look good from 10 years ago.
They brought that up. Godzilla vs. King Kong did that too, where it wasn't like, it was like just a clear fight.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
we'll
get
into that.
I don't even think about that. It wasn't obscured at all.
So all the Jaegers fall apart.
Yeah, except for the Australian one. I don't remember its name.
Striker Eureka.
Yep, sorry. Yeah,
that one have such cool names.
Yeah,
too.
all the names are great.
In this.
They are really well done. That one basically like clutches it and kills the other one just fine. But then we're hit by a new type of kaiju that utilizes
There's an EMP cannon on its back.
The EMP monkey.
It's a giant gorilla
EMP.
with an EMP cannon.
Oh my god.
This movie is so dumb.
So yeah, it gets hit by a giant EMP wave. And our main character, the reason they're not on the battlefield is because their first test run of the 2 new pilots, our main character and the lady we were talking about, they basically didn't do so hot. They didn't do so hot.
No, hold on. They didn't do so hot. They gave her a live fire test in the bay, the station, and she didn't meld properly and like lit up her cannons and was about to blow up everybody.
She was literally having Vietnam War flashbacks.
She's chasing the rabbit, dude.
And so she's like having these flashbacks and like firing up the laser cannons and they're about to blow up before they can unplug. But it's like, you guys didn't think about that? They said something like she beat all the simulations. And it's like, how did you not simulate a mind meld? And if you're going to do that, why not, foresee this and take out the live ammunition?
It's also strange about that. When she like,
what?
Like, what's weird about that too is she's powering up a cannon, but in that vision she had, she's a little girl. She doesn't have a cannon, so why is she activating that in the first place?
Well, because she's trying to stop the kaiju that was above her, remember?
Yeah, but it's just weird to me, like, because, like, she didn't have a
stupid.
gun. She didn't have a gun as a child.
Well, it's funny because, what's the point of the 2 pilots if he can't stop her from doing that, even though he is also a pilot?
True, he's just sitting there screaming at her.
Right?
She's about to kill 50 people, and he's like, "Snap out of it!
Nah,
Come
no,
on,
that's
wake
ignorant.
I love how
That's
they
ignorant."
I love how they stop it too. They just unplug it.
They just
And then
unplug
they
it.
just unplug
Anyway,
the giant mech.
so they go in against orders, which the hell the Jaegers are carried in by like 5 helicopters apiece.
So
And
much
that's not how
resources.
things work.
Not at all.
Nothing. It's like every time you look at something, there's something wrong with it.
That was my problem. That's my problem with this movie is you try to watch it and then you just see something that is just so dumb and you're like, why? Who did this?
There's some
Anyway,
things I never noticed
anyway.
till Fliz pointed out, and I was like, God damn it.
But anyway, yeah, we get our boys to come in. They save the day. They kill everything. And while this is happening, we also have our side plot of the scientist that did the mind meld with the kaiju, and he's the one who's discovering that basically that these kaiju are vat grown. They are grown. They're not born. They are literally bioweapons created by aliens.
Clones.
And,
Yeah, they're
sent
straight up just
via the
absolute
portal.
clones.
Right. So while he's doing this, he's trying to find someone that would know where they could get their hands on an intact kaiju brain so they can attempt melding once again. What was his name?
Hannibal Chad.
It was
Which one?
Hannibal Chow.
Hannibal Chow.
I love
Ron
him as a
Perlman.
character.
Super cool
Ron Perlman's
character.
great in everything.
His
I love
character's
Ron
super
Perlman.
cool.
He's got the shiny shoes. He's got gold shoes that sound like they got spurs on them. Just shishink.
He is a
Shishink.
character. I wish we got more of him, honestly. But he was really well done. But long story short, basically, what Ron Perlman as Hannibal Chow explains is that he has also tried to do a mind meld with the kaiju, and he
Oh, I missed
explains
that part.
Yeah,
Well, he
did
doesn't actually
attempt.
explain it. It's just hinted at when he shows his eyes to the one guy
Yeah.
that actually did.
Yeah, and he explains the consequences of doing it is because the kaiju operate on a hive mind. And whenever you do a mind meld, it's a two-way street. Not only are you getting information from them, they are getting information from you. So now the kaiju are basically trying to locate the scientist and try and get him. And I guess now he's part of the hive mind, so they always know where he is. I think that's what they're trying to say.
Plot. It's the plot of the second movie.
Is it?
Oh,
Oh,
is it?
yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah,
isn't I was just gonna say, isn't that also? Would that be also hinting at why like the Monkey one had like an EMP? Is because they knew the Jaegers ran digitally at that point?
I'm assuming.
That's what I-
They
that's what I
they
took
had to
away.
adapt too. The kaiju's
Yeah.
got bigger and bigger and bigger and got more stuff. I mean,
But they learned it was digital because he mind melded with them, and they were like, "Oh shit, you know what? Break
Well,
the garbage."
That's what I don't get. Like, if you have these aliens that are so advanced they can start creating interdimensional portals, like you think they would know what electricity is, and they must because they know how to create an EMP.
we don't know what elements are like on their side. Maybe they don't have electricity. Maybe it just acted as an EMP. What was actually like space juice.
That's true.
I don't know.
Space
Maybe
juice.
this is something I can forgive throughout the many unforgivable things in this movie.
But eventually they do acquire another kaiju brain, and that's that. And we get back to kind of the fight with Gypsy Danger, our main character. One thing we
This is
forgot
the
to
best
mention.
fight in the movie for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
One thing we forgot to mention is the reason why our main Jaeger can fight with this kaiju that has EMP is because it runs off of a nuclear reactor. And
It's
purely analog, I guess. That's
It's full of gears. And it's a wind-up Jaeger.
which is not how that works. Even though it has holographic. You know what? Never mind. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try. Yeah. So that's the reason I guess it can fight it. And it's a pretty badass fight, I'm not gonna lie. He basically throws the dude on land, and he's carrying like this big not battleship, excuse me. What is it
Tanker?
called?
It
Yeah,
was
a
freight-
giant.
it was a freighter.
Yeah, a
tanker
giant
kind of
freighter,
thing.
and he's just whacking the shit out of him with this giant ass boat.
But it really shows you, like, I don't know how they put it through and we're like, this is fine, but it shows you that like blunt attacks are super ineffective. This monster gets thrown around, hit with a boat, hit with fists, and like nothing really happens to it until they use a gun.
Yeah, the plasma cannon.
And until they're about to totally die, one of the kaiju sprouts wings and starts carrying the Jaeger up into the sky, into the atmosphere. Somehow it can fly and carry this robot all the way up into the atmosphere.
This was the part where like you pointed something out, and I was like, no.
This stupid ass part had me mad in the theaters because they're up in the atmosphere and he pulls out a fucking sword from nowhere. Like, it's this cool, like, multiple part sword that locks into itself, and he slashes the kaiju and it gets cut in half in one hit.
Yeah, it's super effective.
And it's the most effective. It doesn't use any energy. It doesn't. It's got extra range. It's like, why would you not have swords for every single one of these Jaegers immediately? It seemed like such, and they pull it out. They're like, we got to hit the secret button. Yeah, let's hit the secret button. Why is this a secret at all? This should be plan number one every time.
The sword is
Why
last
are you
resort.
hiding secrets from the kaiju? Like, the giant monsters.
And then,
But
I don't know.
like,
I just remember being in the theater and fucking like gasping at how stupid it was.
It is like, you're telling me like missiles and all this other shit that we have don't work, but my guy can pull out a giant like wrist sword and like just Assassin's Creed this shit. Like, what?
Yeah, it's also weird though, because like they're like missiles don't work, but then Sharky Eureka kills a kaiju at the start with chest missiles.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was wrong with that kaiju, but
It's so frustrating. There's so many parts in this movie that are so good, but it's so frustrating at the same time. But either way, eventually we get past that. We save the scientist man. He gets his brain, and we get a final plan on how to stop the kaiju, which is basically we're gonna take this giant nuke and we're gonna nuke them. Which I like this plan. This is a good plan.
This seems like a good plan. And then they're like, Stacker Pentecost, he volunteers to go in with the nuke because he already has cancer from. I guess when they were building the first Jaegers, they didn't think about having a nuclear reactor as a core and how to shield the pilots from it. And so he's got cancer.
he even said he's like, we weren't concerning ourselves with the radiation shielding. It's like, why not?
I mean, like, are you telling me you have scientists smart enough to make these giant ass robots with plasma weaponry and all this crazy shit, but they forgot that radiation is a thing? Like,
Oops, you know.
Oh my god.
We had to keep the cost low. No radiation shielding for this guy. He has to pilot the mech by himself, and he gets no radiation.
And now he's our like head honcho commander. Like,
It's like in the South Park movie where they have all the Black Army people.
Oh my
line
god!
up and the Operation Human Shield.
Yeah, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?"
I always like how in movies, whenever some character has cancer, the only way they can tell you is they just start bleeding from their nose or something. You know?
Yeah, it's always the nose.
They're totally fine.
Even that's
They just cough.
yeah, like excuse me. Meanwhile, there's stage 6 mega cancer just attacking their lungs.
Hey, Pentecost is just that tough.
I don't know. Anyway, so they're trying to get to the portal and deliver this bomb. And I'm guessing that the kaiju are aware of their plan because of the mind meld with the scientists. And they have 2 kaiju guarding the portal, basically. So our characters have to fight them off and push through them. While this is happening, there's a huge, cool fight and all that. That's all going on. We got our sword thing. And our scientist mind melds with the intact kaiju brain. And he discovers that the portal has a firewall on it that scans the DNA of anything going through. And if it's not a kaiju, it kicks it out. However, that's supposed to work. And you basically need to ride a kaiju through the portal to get to the other side, right?
And the only one left is a Category 5. I just want to point out, they use the sword again right off the bat, and it immediately kills another kaiju.
Yeah, they slice it in half.
It does. It really
Category
does.
4.
It works. Yeah, you don't need like the saws and shit or anything like that. Just grab a sword. Honestly, that would have been so badass if they had like a sword in a sheath and we see one like pull it out and it's like covered in fire or something. That would have been
Covered
awesome.
in fire.
Dude, just cuts.
It's got
just
chainsaw blades.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I would be
Dude,
totally
give me
down
some
for like
gears. I want
40K
some
fucking
gears,
chainsaws.
Like, yeah, dude, that is it. That's what I
Like
want.
fucking what are they called? The power hammers they got too, like that shit.
Oh, that would have been nice, but nah. Instead, we get. I don't even know. I don't even know what we got. I'm gonna be real.
So Stryker, they fail. So they basically fail, and he decides to kill himself and blow up the bomb that's on their plane.
Right.
Their Jaeger to wipe out two of the kaiju in a desperation attempt. And I was kind of mad at this part because we find out later that like some of them have escape pods.
Yep.
But not this one apparently. And while he's down there, he can, not only that, he can pilot a mech by himself. This is already given, but for some reason he takes one of the other pilot's sons with him down there.
Yeah,
and he's like, we're gonna pilot this together on a suicide mission. And it's like he was gonna die anyway. He had cancer. He can do it himself. Why not just make him do it alone?
Maybe
Let's
I don't
sacrifice
know.
this
Maybe
other
you can't
guy.
do the later generations ones because they're too complex.
Maybe they should have told me.
I have no idea. But we get our new Category 5 Kaiju, which skips a whole category, I think. Because I don't think there was a Category 4. Was there?
Yeah, there were two Category 4s defending the
they were
portal.
both Category 4.
Yeah, and they were fighting two Category 4s ahead of time as well.
Honestly, I was kind of disappointed by the Category 5 just because he looked awesome. Like, he's like this dragon octopus thing. He looks really cool, but he didn't really...
He looks, was he the one right out of Subnautica?
Right out of Subnautica.
Yes, looks like like one of the Leviathans.
The dragon Leviathan thing? That
Reaper
is exactly
Leviathan,
what it
Emperor
looks...
Leviathan.
We even had to look it up to see which one came out first to see who stole from who.
Yeah.
Subnautica's a thief.
It is. But I don't blame him because that thing looks fucking
It's
badass. But it didn't really do much. It did, I will say, it did survive the nuke, though, which was kind of bullshit. Because that nuke was so strong. It was so strong.
Oh,
it
yeah.
literally pushed...
Yeah.
It pushed away the water at the bottom of the fucking ocean. Like this giant-ass bubble. Like... I can't even imagine the amount of force you would need to do that. That feels like I don't know if we could do that with a single ordinance that we have. But
it's I don't know. This fight I didn't care for as much. I kind of just zoned out on. This is another one of those murky. Well, there's some cool parts to it, but
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Is more interesting.
We got our Category 5, and I was kind of disappointed by him. But long story short, Gypsy Danger finishes it off and rides the corpse through the portal, and they self-destruct and use their nuclear core to explode and nuke all the aliens. And
well, I mean, they have a nuclear meltdown, quote unquote, and that causes their reactor to turn into a nuclear bomb. And then he uses the magic escape pods that we haven't seen until this very minute to just eject from the alien universe. Yeah, and just go home.
Just ejects through that portal that requires a kaiju corpse because it scans you to make sure you're an actual kaiju. Yeah, they just take that portal back.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck?
I'm just mad about the escape pods. Like, it seems like something you could just put on all the fucking Jaegers. Like, why would you not have those if it seemed like it works so well?
It also brings in the question at the start. He walks the Jaeger back, but couldn't he just escape pod it out and be like, yeah, it's down the ocean there?
Well, it's kind of funny because, he went through all the trouble of bringing that thing back to, like, save money. And they just fucking fired him.
Yeah, go work on the wall.
It still worked. Like, it still operated. It probably wouldn't have been that hard to fix, if they could make them so fast. They're just like, nah, get out of here. You lost your brother, you nerd. But yeah, that's how the movie ends. The portal is now destroyed.
Doesn't end with a kiss.
It doesn't end with a kiss between the main character and the love interest.
They just headbutt each other.
I would love that.
To quote Wikipedia, they embrace as rescue helicopters arrive.
They embrace like monkey.
Oh, and then a Kaiju Jaeger rap song comes on for the credits.
I forgot about that.
I was sitting there, I was like, the only thing this movie needs is a stupid ass hip hop song to come on during the credits. And then I was like, wait a second. Oh, and then I heard some lyrics and I went, oh, they did it. And he's like, I got my Jaeger to whoop that ass. I'm like, let's go.
Oh, a
Dumb
stupid
shit.
song to end on a stupid
Is that
movie.
is that a what's his name? Guillermo del Toro? Guillermo thing? I'll say that.
No, that's just a bad movie, a bad horror movie thing.
horror
Like
movie
in the 2000s, late 90s, they like Deep Blue Sea is a really strong example of it.
It
Like
rings a bell.
action horror movies would always end with like some guest hip hop artist making a song for it, just like Venom. When Eminem made that Venom song.
Oh yeah,
Venom, like
Oh my god,
it's
I
just something
forgot
they
about
do.
that.
yeah, it's just something that movies do, and it's stupid, and it's always stupid.
Question:
Yeah.
Did Leprechaun in the Hood, or whatever it's called, did that end with a rap song? I'm assuming it did.
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I remember
don't
watching
either.
those.
Damn it.
I don't know.
I
I
hope
don't
it
think I
does.
stuck around to find out. I kind of remember just turning it off as soon as the movie was done. But yeah, do we want to get into Godzilla versus King Kong and kind of compare and contrast a little? We'll kind of keep it
Godzilla
brief because we've been
versus
doing this for a while.
I mean, if you haven't seen Pacific Rim, go do yourself a favor, grab a buddy, and go watch the stupidity.
The
happen.
first one.
Yeah, for as much as I complain, it's fun to watch.
It is a
It
good
was so
watch.
entertaining. It is so and then there's there are some cool parts with the Jaegers beating each other up and the music stings and everything looks and feels everything feels like it has weight to it, which you sometimes don't get in this kind of stuff.
The music's great too. Like the theme and everything.
The music is great. Yeah, it's definitely, if you like monster films at all, you have to see it.
Just not
yeah,
the second
speaking
one.
yeah, I mean you can. It's
Yeah,
like
they want
the
it.
new Transformers movies where they're just boring. It's just
I haven't seen any
visual
of them.
diarrhea. They're
I heard they weren't great, so I always avoided them.
they're not. They're just not. They're boring. They're boring as shit, and they're long. They're so long, and the plots are so nonsensical. One has like Merlin and Anthony Hopkins and the Knights of the Round, and there's aliens, and just it's racist robots, and it's
The rap
They're
robots.
just so trash. The first, I think the first one's probably the best one. Probably because it's short.
Oh, they have Shia
than the
LaBeouf in it.
rest. They just keep getting longer.
This keep getting longer. But
Yeah, we saw Godzilla versus King Kong, and I've seen the new one that just came out. And I've seen all the newer Godzilla and King Kong stuff. So this is kind of a direct continuation of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and Kong Skull Island.
I
So
did
all
not
these are-
watch either of those.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. You kind of
Well,
get
we
it.
know who the real fan is, don't
Yeah.
we?
Well, like the thing about monster movies is I usually don't like them too much because there's so little like fighting between the actual monsters.
And that's what's
usually-
been great about this like renaissance of monster movies is like they went, because you guys didn't see the newest like the first new Godzilla movie, right?
No, I
no.
didn't.
The monster fights were awesome, but there was so much bullshit, boring dialogue and drama in between it that I don't know. Like I went and saw that in theaters and I was falling asleep, and then as soon as the monsters were fighting, like I was hyped up, I was excited, I was like out of my seat. I'm a dork like that. But like
this was kind of like that. I don't think it was as bad. The like,
no, it
people
wasn't.
interacting.
It was much better than the first one.
It's funny because like when I compared to Pacific Rim, for Pacific Rim, there weren't many fights in it, but I was way more interested in actually seeing people, engage with each other than I was in this movie, Godzilla versus Kong.
I wonder if that's because they kept saying, like, you were just waiting for the next dumb thing of like, what kind of unexplainable bullshit are they gonna tell me now?
It might have been, but I don't know. I don't know why I was literally like dozing off. Like I could not get into it. I think what it might have been was there wasn't a single character in the movie that I really latched onto. There was a lot of people.
I don't even remember any of the characters except for Godzilla. And
Honestly, yeah, there wasn't. Like, I don't remember a single one of their names, to be real with you.
No,
Are you talking about like well, I mean, there was a whole like that weird subplot crap going on.
The only two I really remember are Conspiracy Theory Dude and the little girl that talked to to the monkey all the time.
Honestly, this movie could have been in Japanese and with no subtitles, and I probably would have liked it the same.
Yeah, it really could have been. I think it's both an up and a down tick for this movie.
It felt like the only oh my god, they could have got rid of. There was this whole conspiracy plot. We're not going to go through the whole movie.
Yeah, the conspiracy.
I just don't have the patience.
No.
They had the girl from Stranger Things and like this whole the unlikable squad running off on adventures doing like the most inane, boring shit, and it was like the characters are all there just to kind of tell you what you can already understand.
Yeah.
It's real. It's a part of monster movies that needs to go. Like, I don't need human drama in a movie called Godzilla versus King Kong. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah, the movie got so much better once we see them fight. Because, oh man, the fights are so good. From the very first one to the very last one. They're so good. Man.
Part of it was like, I was wondering, like, I can see how you can make King Kong fight, but I was like, how are they going to make Godzilla like a fighter? Right? And they do such a good job. Like, I mean, King Kong is the hero of the movie. And Godzilla is kind of just as Godzilla always is. He's just a force of nature.
Yeah.
And he just wants to box anybody who's strong enough to box with him.
He's like,
that's
listen,
his job.
I'm the captain. Like that's literally his story. I'm the captain.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Like, it's literally, if there's someone that thinks they can beat the shit out of him, he proves them wrong.
He up until the very end, but yeah, the whole thing is like him chasing King Kong and just beating his ass a bunch of times. Like, King Kong is like the saddest character.
Godzilla's relentless.
Honestly, you feel bad for him. He's getting his shit kicked in.
Half the time he's just like sitting on the ground tired. Like, I can't.
looks like a tired old man. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm getting all these images of him like laying in a building, just like, can I go home now? This shit sucks. That motherfucker is the embodiment of a nuclear bomb, and he breathes fire, and he's indestructible. I'm just a big monkey. Can we please stop?
Not only is he a big monkey, he's a big monkey with a stick.
Not even till later, before he doesn't have the stick. That motherfucker tried to drag me underwater. He drowned me. He beat me on this boat.
Remember that? Yeah.
I had to play dead to get away from it.
Oh my god, I can't. Oh, it's so bad.
It's gonna die.
You guys even sent planes and boats to help me, and I still got chucked through 15
that was another thing.
I can't do this anymore.
Every time he fought Godzilla, he had some kind of help, and it still was not enough.
Oh, I'm in pain.
The saddest King Kong.
Well, I remember watching, I was like, oh my god, King Kong looks so old.
He does.
He just looks like an old man. He looks so tired. Just let him rest.
Poor monkey. But I wouldn't have had it any other way, because he's just like, in any of the fights, he just couldn't stack up to Godzilla at all. And there was one scene, man. So King Kong gets like a axe, basically his MacGuffin weapon to actually let him fight Godzilla. And he kind of wins in one fight. And then like 20 seconds later, Godzilla just fucking destroys him for 5 minutes straight, just running him through buildings, biting him, whooping it. Like, I was like, get him. Get
as soon as he loses the axe, that axe, it's all over, basically.
I like want to watch it again right now. That fight scene is so dope. Just that 5 minutes of just Godzilla tearing. And like I said, it was hard for me to picture how you'd make Godzilla a fighter, and they did it. Like, he straight up rampaged all over that dumb monkey. I was so excited.
Honestly, I remember watching it, and it reminded me of the game I used to play on Xbox, original Xbox, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, I think it was. Because it reminded me of how he fought. Especially when like he would like get low on the ground and start biting and like crawling towards him really fast.
I hate to bring it up again because it's cliche, but it was like the fucking Super Broly movie where Broly was just beating the shit out of Goku and running his face into walls and slamming him on the ground. Like, it was great. I loved it.
Do we want to talk about like when Godzilla gets his ass kicked though?
the best. I was dying
Why?
because they're having this tense moment. And they're like, Godzilla's out there fighting Mechagodzilla, and they cut to it, and Mechagodzilla's just dragging his face across the building.
He's beating the shit out of him.
Like, it got somber music. They're like, Kong, please help him. And he gets back, and Mechagodzilla's like stomping on him. Like,
you just see him in the background just stomping on him. It's like a robot chicken sketch. It's fucking
it really is. Just like, why aren't you helping me? Dude, honestly though, I really liked Mechagodzilla in this movie. I was actually very surprised that I liked him.
Well, also the reason for him going rogue and why he like went after Godzilla too.
Well, yeah, that was cool. I did like that the idea behind that, because in Destroy All Monsters or whatever the last Godzilla was, King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon, was like the big bad, and so they had one of his skulls. And they were using a skull in the facility to telepathically link with the skull in the Mechagodzilla and like control it like
remotely.
I don't know. Yeah, remotely. And it was kind of a cool little idea they had there.
And then they revived it by accident.
Yeah, there was that. That was oopsie. But yeah, that was kind of like what Pacific Rim was missing. Was like, why would you create this giant fucking robot when you could use literally anything else? Like, why would it be so much more effective? And this movie has that. It tells you why Mechagodzilla was created and why it's so effective against Godzilla and why it works. Because they have to use the energy from the core of the planet to power Mechagodzilla, and that energy is what created, supposedly, Godzilla and King Kong as well. That's where they originated from, and that's why Mechagodzilla is so strong.
I did love the design of that area, too, because they go to the Hollow Earth, as they call it.
Upside-down world.
It's gorgeous. It looks so good.
It's like a jungle, but there's a jungle on the ceiling, too, and there's volcanoes.
And there's a lot of really creatures, big monsters.
Which King Kong gets his time to shine, just ripping them up. He likes to tear the heads off of things. We found that out.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, he really likes tearing heads off of things. It's kind of his
The only thing I hated about that place is they never said where a light source was coming. Everything was super well lit, like there was a sun, but they never said where that was coming from. Yeah. I was waiting for it waiting for it.
Well, yeah, Soon brought this up too, because at one point Godzilla like feels him down there, and my guy, he just like fires a laser straight at the ground. And this place is at the core of the planet, right?
Yeah.
And he digs all the way down there with nothing but his breath and is like, fight me.
It's also like, I also brought up like when they go back up through that hole, but to get down there they had to go through a portal.
Right, yeah.
But they didn't go back out through a portal, so what was the point of the portal?
I'm guessing so you don't have to dig through the entire Earth to get there is the point of the portal. You know, just because
who built the portal?
Don't even remember where the portal came from. They just had it.
They fell down a giant hole and it was there like it was
movie,
natural.
From what I understand, I don't know which one. I'm a little lost there. But they had said that I guess the main scientist's brother had tried to go down there, but he was killed from the change in gravity and was crushed, and that's why they needed that special vehicle to survive the trip.
The defibrillator.
Yeah, they defibrillate Kong with it. It just blows it up.
I don't know. I think what I appreciate about this movie is just how they handled Godzilla and just made him like they made him the king of monsters. That's
king
like
what
he's there to prove. And that's what he proves.
Good.
He's like, yeah, I'm the fucking best. Fight me.
Even at the end, after like they both team up to destroy Mechagodzilla, like King Kong,
this changes
starts coming back. And King Kong's like, you can see the look on his face, like, can I just stop?
Yeah, because Godzilla's like, you better drop that axe, boy. And then he's like, okay.
He just drops it on the ground. He's like, I'm done. Tap, uncle.
You're the king of monsters. Leave me alone.
Godzilla's like, fine, all right, whatever.
He just wanted to go back to Hollow Earth.
And then the movie ends.
He's like, you're goddamn right. And then he just leaves.
I love Godzilla. He's the best. I almost didn't want to see the movie because I knew they'd make it King Kong's movie. And I've never been a fan. And they still kind of did, but they did my boy right. I was super happy with that.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate, because that's what my initial worry with this movie was you're gonna have like fans of King Kong and Godzilla like arguing, but they kind of stay true to both, where King Kong's a very good character to have as your main character, because he's someone that, or not
He's
someone,
relatable.
yeah, he's something you can relate to and kind of understand more than Godzilla, who's just a destroying monster. And they kept those two exactly the same and just smashed them into a movie together. And they did it exactly right. I could not imagine how you would do this any better, to be honest with you. This was perfect. This is what you needed.
Yeah, it I enjoyed it. You could cut out a lot of stuff.
The conspiracy theory bullshit.
The whole conspiracy.
Yeah.
What did they actually do?
The only thing that was like a really roundabout way to introduce Mechagodzilla. That's all it was.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Did they have any influence on the plot whatsoever?
Not really. Besides that, as far as I know,
They did, because remember they spilled the alcohol on the
oh yeah,
on the control panel.
God.
Yeah,
and not only that, Godzilla's getting his ass beat by Mechagodzilla, I think, and they're like, we have to stop him, and so they spill alcohol on the security panel, and it shorts out, and it stops Mechagodzilla for like a quarter of a second, and I guess that's helping the plot along.
Well, remember it lets Godzilla charge the axe that King Kong's holding. So when he short circuits, the axe is being charged, and he finally slaps him with the axe, cuts his tail off, and then rips his head off or whatever.
I wish they had like a duo kill for Mechagodzilla.
a double team.
Yeah, they could have done. That's the one thing they could have just like went really hard on, and I would have loved that. Just like King Kong.
I'm not mad, because King Kong needed something.
He needed a win.
He got fucking bullied.
I will say
movie.
there's one part I thought was neat though. I mean, King Kong. It was when King Kong needed help, but like, Mechagodzilla actually goes to like puke lasers down Godzilla's like throat. Isn't that what he did to him before?
Oh
That's
yeah,
what Godzilla did in the past.
And he's like,
movie.
now I'm gonna do it to you, and then Kong comes to help.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite parts was like King Kong's a monster that Godzilla hasn't really fought before, like just a pure straight up humanoid like fighter.
So they have had old movies like that. I see what you're saying though, and just for a quick frame of reference, they had to like actually increase King Kong's size by like double.
He's nowhere near as big.
Canonically matched with
Yeah, because like the Godzilla in this movie is just so huge himself. They made him enormous.
Well, he's always been that big.
I think this is the largest we've seen him cinematically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in King of Monsters, I think this is the largest he's ever been in a cinematic film.
Good.
But what I was saying was
Good.
like when they're the very first fight, when they're on the boat, like Godzilla roars at him, and King Kong just straight up punches him in the face. And you just see King Kong go, ugh, and he just goes flying. Oh, I thought that was great. I was like, yes, just punch him square in the face. No lasers or biting or nothing. Just beat the shit out of him. But King Kong don't care. Honestly, that would have been awesome.
He's got some judo.
Just suplex him.
He just like does
I mean, that's not judo,
taekwondo. I would have
Muay
died
Thai.
if he did a flying jump kick or something.
Godzilla used some Muay Thai.
No, it was good. It was really good. I don't know what movie I like better, Pacific Rim or Godzilla vs. Kong. Because Godzilla vs. Kong, I was way more hyped for during the fights.
But
Yeah,
the fights
was
were
too.
better, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, because the thing
I don't
is, there's more. The stuff between the fights is a lot more boring in
Yeah.
Godzilla.
It's a
than
lot
it is
more
in-
serious.
Yeah, than Pacific Rim. As stupid as it was watching all those people beat each other with sticks in Pacific Rim, it was entertaining.
I guess part of it is like in Pacific Rim, they're all trying their best.
Yeah.
Right? And they're all kind of integral to the plot. Like you're not getting like whatever you're seeing in Pacific Rim is going to be part of it later on or is part of what's happening now. Like everything that would like there was like 40 minutes of footage in Godzilla that like did not fucking matter. I don't need to see these people looking in wonder at clouds and shit, or this fucking. This is like, I did not like the comic relief, stereotypical fat black guy. Like, I hated that shit. It was nothing landed. Everything was bad. I tuned it all out.
I don't even remember a single joke.
No,
I don't either.
There was one. I really don't.
Besides him, like I gotta die with you guys sober. That was the only one I remembered, and I don't know why.
It was bad. Because you spend all this, you're gonna die. You should be more worried that you're gonna die spending your last 3 days hanging out with little kids. Weirdo.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I will say that.
Nah.
It was not good.
But they were both positives for once. I did not, as much shit as I talk, I would watch both of these movies again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I kind of want to watch Pacific Rim 2 now because you say it's so bad.
It's not good bad. It's miserable. It's not even bad. It's just boring.
Is
and
it?
I could be misremembering it. There's a chance, but like, there's a reason why it didn't blow up like the first one.
Honestly, these two movies made similar amount of money too. Surprisingly.
Well, there's a very solid crowd of people who like giant monster fights, and it's not everyone.
Monster movie.
It's a very specific crowd, but it's a strong crowd, a consistent one. But yeah, I'm hoping. I don't know what I would want next for another Godzilla movie.
I have no idea.
Any idea? I don't know how much you guys know about Godzilla.
You guys were like,
I want my Mothra.
Godzilla,
I want my
no idea what
Mothra.
that was.
No, you can. Mothra died in the other one, I think. I guess Mothra always gets
way.
resurrected. Yeah, in the first one.
Oh, that's
you guys-
not good.
Mothra was there.
You guys are missing Shin Godzilla. I have no idea about any of that.
I
Shin Godzilla.
have not seen
Yeah.
Shin Godzilla.
It's-
I heard people like it, but it's
Shin Godzilla is terrifying. It's very scary.
well. I think the main thing I hear about that movie specifically is that like the scenes with the people are almost funny because they make no sense. Like, there's a lot of bureaucratic shit happening while they're trying to figure out like like, I think that's the big joke there, is that in Japan you'd have to go through a bunch of red tape to commit to anything. Even if a giant monster is attacking the city at this moment, you need to like talk to your higher ups and talk to their higher ups and hold meetings. And that, from what I understand, is the joke, but it's just like the whole joke, and there's a lot of it in Shin Godzilla. And there's also no other monster he fights. I think he just fights people,
Yeah, basically.
which I don't care for, honestly. That's not I don't like that.
The thing that makes Shin Godzilla unique, from what I know, I never actually watched the movie, but I've read a lot about it. Is Shin Godzilla is supposed to be unlike regular Godzilla. He draws different inspiration, and he's also designed to be like he basically mutates and evolves as you go, and he gets kind of disturbing. I guess I would refer to it as kind of Ito. It's kind of like Ito's.
Yo, now you only make me more interested.
Horror. It's kind of similar to that, and if I'm remembering correctly, they actually had to change the original ideas they're gonna do because they didn't think it would be appropriate for theaters.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to look this up.
So I'm saying you're only
Yeah,
making me more
it's-
interested. Like,
All right, we're gonna
it's-
have to look this up and come back to it.
It's something. It's pretty unique. Shin Godzilla, and I
feel like we
think he
should
was
watch
the largest Godzilla before the newest one, which is was it King of Monsters? Yeah, I think he was the largest one before King of Monsters.
we should
He
watch
looks
it.
kind of doofy though.
We should watch it, man.
And speaking of doofy, there's one scene in King Kong versus Godzilla where like something happens and it cuts to like Godzilla's face and he like legit smiles at the camera.
I forgot about that.
And it's like, ooh, get it. Anyway, that's pretty much our time for today. I don't know what we're gonna be watching next.
Yeah, no idea.
So if you are listening to this, leave some comments.
Let us know.
That's all I want to know. Show me something I've not seen before. Other than that, we'll keep looking. I
If
think we have a
it's-
documentary we still haven't watched.
If it's
and
stupid bad that it's funny, we will totally watch.
we will totally watch it.
No, I kind of wanted to watch that special by Bo Burnham because I still haven't seen it.
I haven't
know you
either.
have, Fliz, but I think.
All
Bo
right, yeah, no,
Burnham-
we can watch it.
Yeah.
It's.
I
I
think.
prefer his other ones, but it's still good.
Well, I think talking about just his career in general too would be pretty interesting because he's.
Yeah,
he's,
maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll
he's
watch all the
unique.
Bo Burnhams and kind of
Burnham.
do a little deep dive. I think that actually sounds like a cool idea.
Be, yeah,
I really
enjoy
him. I wanted to buy tickets to his show, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
COVID said no.
He wanted you to buy tickets to his show. Then COVID hit.
Then COVID. Anyway, thank y'all so much for listening. I'm Fliz. Catch me on Twitch. Kyler, maybe on Twitch. Maybe. Soon. You can't catch him anywhere.
I mean, maybe one day.
He's
Twitch,
a ghost. You can catch him on Fliz's Twitch. He's there. He's there a lot.
You're there
Sometimes
too.
You'll
you
see
can't.
him. Calling everybody
We're all
stinky. Yeah, so come check out my Twitch.
Oh my God.
Just a roundabout way of
time.
plugging yourself.
Shut up.